Welcome to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast with your host, Brandon Seigel. I'm a published author, speaker, entrepreneur, and private practice strategist dedicated to transforming the way that healthcare functions. This podcast is all about empowering you to create the change you want to see. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. Today, you're tuning in to learn about deciphering your leadership versus management approach. Now, I think this is, it's a pretty important topic. And the reason is because we mix this up. And a lot of the time we look at what is leadership, and we think of leadership is who makes decisions in the company. And management is who manages something that needs to get done or manages people. And I think this is what is destroying, in my opinion, many workforces, is I think we have it all backwards. And today we're going to talk about, deciphering what your leadership approach is, what your management approach is. But I'll give you a couple kind of key insights that I've learned along my journey, and this is just my perspective. I think leadership is a mindset. I think leadership is the ability to lead and do what is in the greatest good for the organization, and being able to put the benefit of all before yourself. And my ideal would be that every employee is a leader, that they lead within their function. And that by building a team of leaders, we are just managing expectations and managing change. And I don't love this feeling that we have to micromanage others to get their job done. I believe that there is an opportunity here where even your facility manager is a leader. You are the leader of the facility. Now, I want to ask you, if you have kids and you go to your kids tonight and you say, hey, who's going to cook us dinner tonight? Most likely, they're going to say one of two things. Either I don't know or you. And so what ends up happening is we end up taking over that full responsibility, and we never give the opportunity for them to lead within our organization of our home. And I think that we need to groom leaders from the start. And so even that element of, I have two kids, Sophia and Jonah. Sophia, tonight I have an opportunity for you. Not a task, not a job, but an opportunity. I want you to lead us in creating the best salad you could dream up for all of us to enjoy. You get to lead all the decision making. Here is the only thing that I will define for you. These are your ingredients. This is your time. And this is when it must be ready. Call it a cooking challenge, but I want to unlock the leader chef in you. And all of a sudden, my daughter would be running with it. I'm going to look up this and I'm going to do this. I'm going to make my own salad dressing, and she would figure it out. I've given her the context of what I need her to lead within, but I've allowed her to identify. And when I say she's leading the way because she is taking responsibility. She is defining that she is responsible for creating that outcome. Same thing. Jonah, today we have an opportunity. I would like you to lead our family in cleaning the living room. Here's the context. You get to choose where it goes, how it goes, everything. I need everything off the floor, and I would like it done within 10 minutes. So get creative, and guess what? Your sister is here to help. So you get to lead her and how to be the resource you need. And recognize that if you tell her what to do, it ain't going to work. But if you empower her, if you lead her down the path, you can be righteous in your outcome. And so I really think that many people don't like to be managed, and people don't know how to lead. So we're getting lost in our approach. And what ends up happening is you are disgruntled because you're doing everything. And it's interesting. I recently had this practice, and between us, listeners, and myself, they have people in leadership roles that are not leaders. And I evaluate this from the lens of responsibility. They're doing what they're asked to do. They're not doing it in a way of leading to the future. And every time something doesn't go as planned, they take the opportunity to give up responsibility and say, well, I just did what you were telling me, or this or that. And recently, the leaders of this group were complaining. We don't have enough people. Everyone's leaving, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I go, well, that's a byproduct of you. I went to one of them. She's the leader of HR. I'm like, well, no, it's because we're not this and we're not. I go, you're the leader of HR. Take responsibility. It's a reflection on you. Every single function has a reflection. Take responsibility as a leader that reflects on you. The same thing with clinical care. If a patient is not happy because a doctor is running late, that is a reflection on the doctor. Well, you scheduled too many kids and blah, 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 and all this stuff. No, you should have known that before. Take responsibility. You're right. I can do it differently. Leadership is being able to fall on your sword and lead to positive change. Management is about making sure it gets done. And so as we define leadership in a business context refers to the ability to guide, inspire, influence a team or organization toward achieving common goals. It encompasses several key elements. I want you to think with this. A leader has a vision. They're able to create and communicate a clear and compelling direction for the future. And I know you probably are thinking everything's like COO, clinical director. No, I'm going to talk right now about, let's just take a janitor. So I am going to empower a janitor to take leadership. So part of your role in this janitorial position is to lead us through the cleanest and most effective work environment that you could dream up. And I want you to create your vision for what this is going to look like. I want you to communicate a clear, compelling direction for the cleanliness of our facility. I want you to motivate others and encourage them with that vision. So, hey, clinicians, take care of our space. Every day I come in, I am not here to just clean up shit all day. Excuse my French. I am here to help create an experience within our facility of pure clarity, cleanliness, efficiency, and I need your help with us. That janitor gets to make decisions. What kind of bags, what kind of cleaning material, what are the goals for that function, and lead us in correlation to the organizational's goals and values. Let's empower all those around that janitor to follow suit with that vision, because you're going to let the janitor down. Do you buy into what we want? And then that leader also needs to be adaptable. That janitor has to be able to respond to, hey, we ran out of the cleaning solution you like. What's another way? They need to have that resilience. Effective leaders not only drive success, but also foster an inclusive and collaborative culture that enables everyone to thrive. But I do not believe that a leader has to be defined by their title. I do not believe that a leader has to be just about the function. So at the end of the day, you want to give fancy titles to embark that leadership. Every single role is going to have the word guru, the word specialist, the word supervisor behind it. So you are the janitorial supervisor. What am I supervising? You're supervising that this environment looks great. Well, I don't have any people to supervise. I never said that leadership needs to lead others. It can, but you're going to lead the environment to a state of cleanliness. You know, we look at schedulers. You have a very important role. And if you want to keep that role, you need to know how to lead us into a full schedule. So that comes with the territory of telling patients it's this or that. That comes with a territory of defining the game ingredients and the game board in which it takes for you to win the scheduling opportunity. Lead us. Lead us through that. And that by leading us, I want to be clear. That's not just giving up, well, this is your job. No, that's not leading. It's everyone's got their role and their function as previously defined, and I'm here to make sure we accomplish this as a group, as a team. And I think sometimes we look at leadership just as a telling us what to do. And I think that's the worst kind of leader. A leader doesn't tell us what to do. A leader empowers us to know what needs to get done. Empowers us to recognize that. It's all about responsibility. I never want to hear an excuse. Don't come to me and say, I was late because. Just say, you know what? I was late and I'm going to make my changes so it doesn't happen again. I don't care if the dog threw up on the carpet or the car had a big accident or you had too much to drink. Whatever that is, honestly, doesn't matter. I just want to hear, hey, I'm taking responsibility. I'm making a change in the way that I do things so that it does not happen again. What are the things that frustrate practice owners the most? That their team doesn't take responsibility. I want them to own every function. Don't make excuses. Don't tell me you're too busy. Don't tell me we have enough. You're going to sign on the dotted line that you agree, love, and live and die by these functions, or don't take it on. Just like you take on a mortgage, you take on that responsibility. Embrace the leader within you. Jonah, we're cleaning the living room today. You're going to lead us to the cleanliness land. Sophie, you're going to lead us to the most nutritious, delicious salad we've ever experienced. Make it happen. Create that reality with them. Part of leadership is building a leadership mindset in others. Now, I asked the question to my leaders, and I recently actually said this to one of my employees. I said, hey, you've brought me problems. I brought feedback. You get to lead how we move forward. And if there is something else you need from me, I expect you to lead me through that. You're not going to give up responsibility and say it's Brandon's problem. You're going to lead me on what you need, and you're going to use me as a vehicle of change to help you. But you're not going to just be like, hey, Brandon, this doesn't feel right. I need you to handle it. No. So in this case, we were trying to do an integration. And she's like, look, here's all the problems. I don't feel comfortable, and I don't think that this is the right thing. I'm like, okay, I don't want you to do anything that's not comfortable. So here are your options. You can ask this person to help. You can ask me to help, or you can ask this person. But I need to know everything you're expecting of me because you're still leading us through the outcome. You might not have the doingness of it, but you're taking responsibility to lead us to the outcome. You're not able to give up the responsibility of it, but you may give up the task if needed or necessary, depending on who the best person to execute that. So in your leadership mindset, this function is outside of an area of confidence for you, and you would like someone else to assist, support that process. So lead us who, when, where, how, why. Boom, done. So when we're looking at managers, I think most managers are pretty terrible. I'm going to be honest. And I think a lot of us don't recognize that people get into management for the wrong reason. Truly. So when I ask someone, would you take a management role for less money? They say no. What are the drivers of a management opportunity? Growth. Well, is growth defined as money? In some capacity. So if I said that managing people made less, would you want it? No. So what that means in my reality is that person does not really want to manage or be a manager, but that person is willing to sacrifice that they don't want it for an opportunity of growth. Why am I putting managers in positions that they don't really want? We have to find other financial outlets. If their goal is growth in finance, don't make management be the only path to that. I was recently working with this private practice, and they said, Brandon, we need a clinical director. I'm like, okay. And they're like, we want to try and hire from within. And we have someone in mind. And we think they are incredible. And will you help us evaluate if you agree? I said, okay. Now here's the deal. A lot of the time, you want to see the best in people. Whereas I am trying to see their blow up claws. I'm trying to see when they break. I'm trying to see authentically their liability so I know what I'm working with. So I interviewed this clinical director, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, this is the worst fit ever. How did they miss this? And I recorded the interview, and the candidate knew I was recording the interview. And within this interview, I'm talking, and it's very conversational. Tell me a time, when you felt the need to lead. How are you leading now? Do you like it? When have you felt that you were meant to be a manager? If I had to take $10,000 away from you to be a manager, would you choose that function, or would you rather see patient care? And what this person basically said within this interview was, I would much rather do patient care. And for every hour that I have to manage someone else, I want 10x more in compensation. The only reason why they were considering the management side was that they thought they would make more money. And the problem was the practice owners thought that because the person was good clinically, that they could be a good clinical director. And I disagree with that. A clinical specialist and a clinical director are two different things. So most managers fail because we put the wrong people in the wrong roles. Second reason, they have a mindset of a people pleaser. This is wrong. I just met another practice manager, and she just wants to kiss butt all day and make people happy. I said, honestly, you're a manager. Your job is to police people while leading them to the promised land. You are not a problem solver. Your job is to create accountability and motivate solution through the people. People pleasers are why managers fail. Because at the end of the day, here's the deal. If I go to a manager and I say, well, let me give this analogy. If every time you pleased your kids, would it be the best action for them? Mom, can I have dessert? Yes. Mom, can I have $100? Yes. Mom, can I go sleep at Timmy's? Yes. Mom, can I go beat up my sister with a baseball bat? Yes. We cannot be people pleasers. You get the point. So we got to unlock that our mindset is, I use the help me help you. Sometimes I'm going to bring you feedback that won't feel good, but the idea is that it is the greatest good for us. And part of your role is you're on this vehicle of change. And some things aren't always the best for you, but they're the best for the group. And sometimes there are things that are great for you. But at the end of the day, there's no I in team. And so if I need you to take a bench, you're going to take a bench. And I look at the best sports teams ever have been the teams where people are able to sacrifice. Whenever we put together these like superstar teams, like the Miami Heat initially, that first year when LeBron and everyone was together, they failed. They didn't know how to sacrifice in order to work together. So our management approach is sometimes to deliver bad news, to hold people accountable, to not be the liked person. So I am going to be the personal trainer, and I'm going to kick your butt into gear for what I need from you so that we as a group get what we need. And as long as you know your role, so your role on this team is ABC. You know, Shaq's role is ABC. Know your role and know that in order to lead others and to manage those, you have to set clear expectations. So as a manager, you will not always like the decisions I make, but you will respect me and you will know that I never want to do anything to harm you, but I may not do everything that pleases you. And if there's ever a time where you feel harm is being potentially breached, then we need to look at that. But if you expect to always get a yes man, you have the wrong manager. My job is to empower transparency and authenticity to unlock the change in function of our private practice so that we can grow and connect and collaborate and reach new heights as a group. The other reason why most managers fail, they don't understand their function. So when I was interviewing this manager recently, I said, "What is your job?" And she said, "I'm here to help people." So it's interesting because when I look at it, I'm like, I'm a problem solver. Well, as a problem solver, the first thing I need to do is define the problem with the person. The second is to help them align with what a solution could be. So sometimes I don't have the right solution. I just know how to solicit it from them. Managers have to understand their function. They're not there to be friends. This work environment is meant to be functional, but it doesn't mean that it's always fun. So don't forget the full word of functional and understanding that their job is to get an outcome. You're here to create change. The other thing is sometimes we don't set our managers up for success. They don't really understand what to ask or where to be or what's being asked of them. They're given the wrong staff. Staff are not a right fit. They don't have the right resources. Recently, my brother-in-law interviewed for a management role, and I remember he was like, "Brandon, I asked them a year from now, what key performance indicators will I be measured on to show that I exceeded your expectations?" They didn't even know what I was talking about. How can you expect someone to succeed if you don't clearly define what they need to do, what that expectation is? Here's the system or solution. Or you need to be honest. You need to say, "You know what? We have no organization, no structure, no nothing. I need you to build everything. You're going to build the KPIs. You're going to be the guru, the Dalai Lama of our practice because I am management stupid." I don't recommend that. But how many of you find that you're hiring staff to complement your weakness area while that staff member doesn't really know what they're doing? I remember my first management job. I'll never forget. So I get poached. Poached meaning I was in a job and someone found me and hired me. And I got really excited by the opportunity. It was like my first real title. And I was 3 years out of college. I was overly ambitious. And this entrepreneur comes to me and says, "I know what you do. I've seen you in action. I want you to come and manage the growth of my company. You are the growth master. And he's like, you're vice president of business development. I got all excited. Oh my God, here's my business card. I'm the vice president of business development. We're going to grow, grow, grow. I was so excited. I was this young buck ready to roll. And I show up the first day. I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm ready to go. And the HR director shows me my desk, says, here you go. And I sit down and I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to do? This is my first management role, mind you. Figure it out. I was like, what? Yeah. I said, is there any what function? Nope. You have one thing only. You're the vice president of business development. Now make that title a reality. Did I know how to be a vice president of business development? No. Did I figure it out? Yes. How many people can figure it out? Some. But I wish I knew that I was coming into a role with no structure, no KPIs, no accountability, no understanding of the industry. The person just saw a spark in me. Well, and to be honest, most of my leadership roles have come from that. Someone sees a spark in me and they're like, go light a fire, Brandon. So I want you to remember that the 5 reasons why managers fail is that you put the wrong people in the wrong roles. They actually don't want to be managers. They just want the money of a manager. They have the mindset of a people pleaser. They don't understand their function or the expectations of their function. The staff connected to them are not a fit, and they don't have the right resources. This isn't on managers. This is on the organization. You didn't do your job. So as we look at redefining the function of leading others, I think it's important that we understand what makes happy work. And by happy work, I want to be crystal clear. I can't make a person happy, but I can practice the science of happiness. So every day, if your job is to make an employee happy, you're literally playing Russian roulette. There's no defining component, because look at anything. Hey, if I win $1 million, I'll be happy, and then they're miserable. So what makes happy work starts on a pyramid, with the foundation being the values and behaviors. So it starts with, we're going to value people. We're going to treat people right. We're going to be transparent. We're going to be authentic. We're going to practice what we preach. We are going to showcase that we value people as humans, as individuals, as co-creators. We're going to create a culture in which this is how we recognize you and what you are to our organization. Then, on top of that, we're going to implement the science of happiness as written by Tony Seigel, Delivering Happiness. We're going to make sure that you can create progress. Progress within your function, progress within your organization, progress within your life. We're going to give you control. You have the ability to shape your progress. You feel connected to others. You are practicing your happiness habits, the values and behaviors. That is within our science of happiness. But I want to be clear. Control. How many of your employees feel that they have control over what they're being evaluated for? Allow them to define their ability to create control. So I'll give an example. You ask a clinician or let's play the dental game. You asked a dental hygienist to do 15 cleanings a day. That's very high, unexpected, but I am just sharing it. 15 teeth cleanings a day is their goal. That is how much that they have to deliver. I'm just throwing a crazy number out there. And they don't do any scheduling, and all they do is show up for work. Well, at the end of the day, if they're showing up for work and people cancel, do they have control? Depends. So part of that control is, hey, I want to make sure that we have clear cancellation policies so that I have foundation. I want to make sure that I can kick them off my schedule for the future if they cancel less than 24 hours. I want to make sure that they're in agreement and that there are 6 follow-up texts in which they control so that our scheduling team and I work together and that I have at least some capacity of control over my schedule. Progress, control, connectedness, and happiness habits. But then as I look to that next gear, in order to really create happy work, we have to have a higher purpose. There has to be something more meaningful. Because at the end of the day, if this is just a job, then there will always be another job. So when I survey people that work for me, I look at it and I say, where do you align on this? And typically I give a lot of autonomy so they have control. They feel very connected to the culture of the company, the people. They do believe that at all times I will try and prioritize how I value them and the behavior in which I share. Hey, we're going to do right by people. You're going to treat me well. I'm going to treat you well. And we're going to exhibit progress as a group. But here's the biggest difference. If you're not bought into changing the way healthcare is delivered, then I'd rather you not join this. This has to be a meaningful action for you. Because my higher purpose, I'd rather make a little bit less money and actually change this healthcare system. Flip it on its side and finally do what society needs. And if you're not really purpose on that, there's going to be a point where you just are no longer filled by this pyramid that I give you. So I'd rather be transparent with you so that you're ready for that. And so as we look at all of this, it's so important for you to identify that leadership must rest within each and every one of your employees. You need to give them the tools. You need to give them the control. You need to give them the responsibility to lead the way on their function. And you must manage with shared agreement. You must manage in a way where they agree with what you are holding them accountable. That your management approach is setting them up for success. You know, in the word of Jerry Maguire, my favorite movie of all time, there were 2 things. So one was Rod Tidwell, and he said, "Show me the money." Your staff are saying, "Show me the money." And what did Jerry say? Jerry said, "Help me. Help me help you." At the end of the movie, they were best friends. Rod Tidwell got his money. He helped Jerry help him. And he became, in the words of Rod Tidwell, the character, Jerry was his ambassador quam. Resonated above all. Suddenly, a business relationship was transformational. And it came from leadership, and it came from responsibility, and it came from management. And so I ask you, define your leadership as a mindset. Don't make one of those manager failure points. Don't hire the wrong people. Don't put them in the wrong role. Don't give them the wrong staff. Don't leave them out to dry. Don't expect that they know what they don't know. Lead them to management success. Redefine the way that leadership functions in your organization. Did you know that teams led by strong leaders report 21% higher profitability and 17% higher productivity compared to poorly led teams? I'm going to say that again. And Gallup has stated this statistic. Teams led by strong leaders report 21% higher profitability and 17% higher productivity compared to poorly led teams. You manage work, but you lead people. Confusing the two creates chaos. Anonymous. Again, you manage work, but you lead people. Confusing the two creates chaos. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for tuning into the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. Please subscribe, like us, comment, share, watch us on YouTube, listen to us anywhere podcasts are streamed, and don't forget, together we can thrive, not just survive. Thank you for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. Exciting news. We're now available everywhere, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to YouTube or anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. So watch, listen, and reach out. If you love this episode, please drop a 5-star review. It truly means the world to me. Are you looking for more ways to elevate your practice? If so, now is your chance. Reach out, go to my website, or email me at brandon@wellnessworksmp.com. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.